every culture on Earth has figured out the same amazing food trick: wrapping tasty stuff in dough. From Chinese jiaozi to Italian ravioli, the humble dumpling shows up on dinner tables worldwide. But here's the crazy part: most people don't even realize they're eating the same basic food when they bite into a pierogi or a samosa. When food was scarce throughout history, dumplings were the perfect solution. A tiny bit of meat wrapped in dough could feed an entire family. But why did so many different cultures come up with nearly identical foods? And why have some dumplings become world famous while others remain hidden gems? In this video, we're exploring dumplings from around the globe, both the ones you know and the ones you've never heard of. We'll uncover surprising origins, reveal which might be the oldest dumpling ever, and show how these little pockets of food tell the story of human history. By the end, you'll see why dumplings might just be the most important food ever created. Before we dive in, let's answer a simple question. What exactly is a dumpling? At its most basic, a dumpling is just dough wrapped around a filling. That's it. The dough can be made from wheat, rice, corn, potatoes, pretty much any starch. The filling can be meat, vegetables, cheese, fruit, or even nothing at all. Some dumplings are boiled, others are steamed, fried, or baked. Some are tiny, others are huge. Some have thin wrappers, others thick. But they all share that same basic idea: a tasty filling wrapped in dough. This simple concept is pure genius. Dumplings let you stretch small amounts of expensive ingredients like meat by mixing them with cheaper fillings and wrapping them in inexpensive dough. They're portable, easy to eat, and can be made in huge batches. Plus, they're the ultimate leftover transformer. Yesterday's roast becomes today's dumpling filling. But the most amazing thing about dumplings, they appeared independently all over the world. It's like humans everywhere just instinctively knew this was one of the best ways to prepare food. So which culture invented dumplings first? The answer might surprise you. Many people assume Chinese dumplings are the original, and they certainly have an impressive history. According to legend, Chinese jiaozi were invented around 1800 years ago by a man named Zhang Zhongjing. During a harsh winter, he noticed people's ears were getting frostbite. So he created ear-shaped dumplings filled with warming herbs and meat to help heal the villagers. These became what we now know as jiaozi. But here's the twist: we've actually found much older dumplings. In 2010, archaeologists in China discovered a 1700-year-old bowl of soup with dumplings perfectly preserved inside. That's incredible, but still not the oldest. The current record holder comes from an unexpected place: Europe. In 2016, researchers found evidence of dumplings in ancient tombs in the Xinjiang region dating back 1700 years. These dumplings were remarkably similar to modern manti, which are still eaten across Central Asia and the Middle East today. But even these aren't the oldest. The true ancient dumpling champion might be a surprise: Italy. Archaeologists have found what appear to be ancient ravioli making tools dating back over 2,000 years. That's right, pasta might not have come from China after all, and ravioli might be one of the world's oldest dumplings. The truth is, dumplings probably emerged in multiple places independently. It's such a simple, practical food idea that different cultures likely figured it out on their own. What's fascinating is how similar these creations ended up being, despite developing oceans apart. Let's take a global tour of some of the world's most fascinating dumplings, starting with the ones you probably know. In China, beyond the famous jiaozi, there's xiaolongbao, soup dumplings. The chef wraps a filling in solidified gelatin inside a thin dough. When steamed, the gelatin melts into soup inside the dumpling. Bite into one without caution, and you'll get a mouthful of scalding soup. The proper technique is to nibble a small hole, slurp out the soup, then eat the rest. Moving west to Poland, we find pierogi. These half-moon-shaped dumplings are typically filled with potato, cheese, sauerkraut, or meat. What makes pierogi special is how they're finished. After boiling, they're often pan-fried in butter with onions until crispy. During Christmas, Poles make special pierogi filled with cabbage and mushrooms. In Italy, ravioli needs no introduction. These square pockets of pasta can hold anything from cheese to meat to vegetables. But did you know the word ravioli comes from an old Italian word meaning to wrap? The oldest ravioli recipe we have dates back to the 14th century, in a cookbook written by a chef who worked for the King of England. India gives us the samosa, triangular fried dumplings usually filled with spiced potatoes, peas, and sometimes meat. While we associate samosas with Indian cuisine, they actually originated in the Middle East around the 10th century. Traders brought them to India, where they evolved into the version we know today. Now for some dumplings you might not know about. From Mongolia, we have buuz, large steamed dumplings filled with mutton or beef mixed with onion and garlic. Mongolians traditionally eat these during their Lunar New Year celebration. The unique thing about buuz is the pinched opening at the top, which lets steam escape during cooking. In Georgia, the country, not the state, khinkali are soup dumplings with a twist. These large, pleated pouches are filled with meat, spices, and broth. The proper way to eat them is to grab the dumpling by its top knot, bite a small hole, slurp out the broth, then eat the rest. But never eat the doughy top knot. It's used as a handle, and counting your leftover top knot shows how many you've eaten. From South India comes modak, a sweet dumpling made for religious festivals. These teardrop-shaped treats are filled with coconut and jaggery, palm sugar, and either steamed or fried. They're said to be the favorite food of the elephant-headed god Ganesha. In Argentina and across Latin America, empanadas are beloved half-moon pastries filled with beef, chicken, or cheese. The name comes from the Spanish word empanar, meaning to wrap in bread. Each region has its own folding pattern. The crimps on the edge actually tell you what's inside. One of the strangest dumplings comes from the Jewish communities of Eastern Europe, the buuz. These are sweet dumplings made from leftover challah bread mixed with eggs and sugar, then stuffed with fruit preserves. The name literally means grandmother's thighs in Yiddish, a name that's both hilarious and slightly disturbing. Finally, there's walakshi from Maharashtra, India. Rice flour dumplings stuffed with coconut and jaggery, then steamed in turmeric leaves. What makes these special is that the leaves impart both flavor and a beautiful yellow color to the dumplings. So why did dumplings become so universal? There are a few key reasons. First, they're incredibly practical. In times when meat was expensive and scarce, dumplings let you stretch a small amount to feed many people. One chicken could make dozens of dumplings to feed an entire village. Second, dumplings are portable. Long before food delivery apps and drive-thrus, people needed food they could carry with them. Dumplings were the original fast food. Wrapped in their own edible packaging, easy to transport, and satisfying to eat. Third, they're versatile. Dumplings can be a main dish, a side, a snack, or even a dessert. They work with whatever ingredients you have available. This adaptability helped them spread across different climates and cultures. Fourth, dumplings are a social food. Making them often becomes a family or community activity. In many cultures, generations gather around the table to fold dumplings together, sharing stories and traditions while they work. But perhaps the most important reason is simply that dumplings are delicious. There's something deeply satisfying about biting through a layer of dough into a flavorful filling. It's a perfect combination of textures and tastes that humans seem hardwired to enjoy. Dumplings also tell the story of human migration and cultural exchange. As people moved around the world, they brought their dumpling recipes with them, adapting them to local ingredients. Jewish immigrants brought knishes to America. Italian immigrants brought ravioli. Chinese immigrants brought jiaozi. Each dumpling carries the history of its people with it. Today, dumplings continue to evolve. Chefs around the world are creating fusion dumplings that blend different cultural traditions. You can find pizza dumplings, cheeseburger dumplings, even dessert dumplings filled with chocolate or ice cream. Fast food chains have gotten in on the action too. McDonald's sells curry puffs in Singapore, empanadas in Latin America, and apple pies, which are really just sweet dumplings worldwide. But as global food culture homogenizes, some traditional dumplings are at risk of disappearing. Many require labor-intensive techniques that younger generations don't always have time to learn. Others use ingredients that are becoming harder to find. That's why documenting and celebrating these foods is so important. Each dumpling represents centuries of culinary wisdom passed down through generations. They're not just food, they're living history. So there you have it. Dumplings truly are the food that conquered Earth. From ancient origins to modern innovations, these pockets of dough have fed humanity through good times and bad. They've crossed oceans, survived wars, and adapted to every culture they've encountered. The next time you bite into a dumpling, whether it's a pot sticker, a ravioli, or a samosa, remember that you're participating in one of humanity's oldest and most universal food traditions. Speaking of ancient food traditions that spread worldwide, in my next video we'll explore the fascinating world of fermented foods. From familiar favorites like yogurt and kimchi to strange ferments you've never heard of, we'll discover how humans learned to harness the power of beneficial bacteria to create some of the most nutritious superfoods on the planet. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.